Hi, welcome back. In this module, we will be discussing about functions. So let's get started. A function is a block of code that performs a specific task. There are two types of functions. First is standard library functions and the second one is user-defined functions. So let's understand the concept of standard library functions. Standard library functions are built-in functions which are declared in the header file. If you want to use that particular function, you should include that header file using #include function. Take an example. If I want to use a printf statement which is a built-in function and this printf statement is stored in the stdio.h header file. So I should include the stdio.header file in the beginning of the program that we have already studied in the previous programs. Here is the list of some of the header files. Now let's get an idea about user-defined functions. User-defined functions are defined by the users. It allows the user to define a functions according to their need. So apart from building functions, user also can define their own functions to satisfy their need. So what are the other advantages of functions? Functions provides reusability. So what does it mean? Once we design any function, we can call that function as many times as we want. So it is reusable. It provides modularity. We can break down the main function into modules. So instead of writing the whole code in the main, we can write our code according to our need in the user-defined function so that we can break down the main program into modules. With the concept of modularity, the program is easy to debug and easy to edit also, as we will have an idea in which function we are getting the error, so we can go to that specific function and we can debug it. As it is easy to debug and edit and we are applying the concept of modularity, it is easy to understand also. In this video, we will be acquiring the knowledge of scope of variables and type of variables. So let's get started. The scope of variable means the visibility of variable. Visibility means in which part of your program you can see that variable, or you can access it, or you can use it. So there are two types of variables. The first one is local variables and the second one is global variables. So first let me explain the local variables. Local variables are defined inside a function, or we can say inside the block, and the block is mentioned using the opening and the closing brace. They can be used only by the statement inside that functions or inside that block of code, and it is not accessible outside that function. So let's take an example. This is the simple example. Here we are calculating the sum of two numbers. You can see here I have used the main. The main is the necessary function which every program should contain. Inside these braces we are declaring the three variables. You can see here variable a, b and sum. These variables are local variable because it is declared inside this block of code, and we can access these variables inside this block only. We cannot access this variable outside the main. When we will design the user-defined function, you will get a clear idea of that. But for now, try to understand the concept of local variable. So let me run and show the output. You can see the output. We are getting the message addition equals to 30, as we are adding the two numbers here and we are printing the message. Actually, we have used the concept of local variables in the previous programs also. Whichever variables we were using in the previous programs are the local variables. Now let me explain the global variables. Global variables are the variables which are declared outside the block of code. Here you can see one variable I have declared which is not inside the main, which is outside the main. Global variables are declared outside the function block and it can be accessed inside the function also. Generally, we declare the global variables at the top of the program and its availability stays for the entire program. You can see here again I am considering the same example of addition of two numbers, but I have declared one variable outside the main. So it will act as a global variable and I can access this global variable inside the block also. So let's execute the program and check the output. You can see the output, we are getting the same message. Global variables are very helpful when we are designing user-defined functions that we are going to study in this module in the coming videos. Hi, welcome back to the module functions. In this video, I will be explaining how to define a user-defined function. So let's get started. Whenever you want to design any user-defined function, you should mention these three things. First is function declaration, then you should write the function definition, then we have to call that function. So let's understand how to do this. The first is function declaration. When we will use the normal variables also, we have to declare it. In the same way, we have to declare the functions also, so that the compiler will get an idea that you are designing a function. This is the syntax. First, you should mention the return type of a function. Every function should return a value. If not, we should mention void here. Generally, we mention in main. Whenever function is performing some calculation, we return the value to the main. So we should mention the return type of the function, what type of value the function is returning to the main program. Then we have to mention the function name. It is an identifier. This is the actual name of the functions. Then in the bracket, you should mention the parameter list. In the parameter list, we mention the data type and the number of arguments that we are going to pass to this function. So in the function declaration, there are three things you should mention. One is return type, the next is function name, and the parameter list. The next one is function definition. In function definition, we write the actual code. Here too we should mention the return type, then we have to mention the function name, and we have to specify the parameter list too. After declaration of function and the function definition, we should call that function in the main, so the control will pass to that particular function and the code will get executed. Here is the syntax. First we have to mention the function name, and then we should write about the arguments followed by semicolon. As there is a flow of data between main and the function, so based on the data flow, we have four categories. The first one, function without parameters and without return value. So there is actually no flow of data between main and the user-defined function. The second one, function with parameters and without returning value. From main, we are sending the parameters to the user-defined function, but user-defined function is not returning any value to the main. And the third, function without parameters and with return value. So from main, we are not sending any parameter to the user-defined function, but still function is returning value to the main. And the fourth one is function with parameters and return value. From main, we are sending the values to the user-defined function, and the user-defined function is returning value to the main. So in this video, we studied how to define a user-defined function. In the next video, I will be demonstrating these four types of functions using program in the coming videos. So keep learning, keep coding. See you in the next video.